Oh, this is nice. Oh, I can like casually lean here. This is sweet. This ain't a bad what's on that shelf. All right, I'm down with this. A lot of times to get the positions to get these shelves is really hard. This one's not bad though.
3, 2, 1, bro.
What's up, everybody? My name is Nick Murphy, and this is what's on that shelf? Where Mike and or I, it's never and, it's always or, go through all of our shelves to show you our game collection, which is ever growing. We're gonna start putting games other places. We're running out of room. This is prime real estate up here. So this time I'm talking about this shelf right here. We got 4 great games on this shelf. Let's go ahead and start over mirror. Oh, you know we got that. This is awkward. This is awkward. That's the thumbnail right there, guaranteed. Right here we got Santorini. Santorini is a wonderful 2-player, well, I guess I was going to say 2-player only. It's technically not 2-player only. It's a 2-player game. Let's not kid ourselves. It's a 2-player game. It's an abstract strategy game. It's set on a, kind of see it right here. It's set on a grid, and you're trying to build these buildings. This is a very, very pretty game. A 3D game where you have all these different buildings, and the buildings in Santorini, Greece, if you've never been there, seen pictures, it's that stereotypical Grecian island building where it's very white buildings with those little blue towers, the little blue tops, the domes on top of the towers, rather. And you are trying to build those. So you're building these buildings, these towers, tier by tier, and your workers are going and stepping up onto the different tiers like that. And if you ever get one of your workers to the 3rd level of the building, you win. You win outright. That's how you win. So on top of the 3rd tier, you can put a dome. So the thing is, what you want to do is when your opponent is about to get to the 3rd tier, you can put a dome on the top of that building and stop them from getting to the 3rd floor, which keeps you in the game, essentially. It keeps them from winning. It keeps you in the game, which is great. It's really tactical. There's a bunch of God cards that come in it, which give everyone a special ability, maybe another win condition. Really, really wonderful game. Thinky, deep, love it so much. Teach it in 5 minutes. Oh, it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Mwah. Love me some Santorini. This right here is a pretty new addition. This is Libris. This is a great theme. It's a great Renegade games where you are building and categorizing a library. Rager. But that's what it's about. You are in the fantasy world, wizards and golems and all this kind of stuff, and you have your own library, and your own library has a special ability. It might be that you can categorize stuff better, or you can steal stuff from other people. There's all these different kinds of libraries. There's like 16 in the game. And they all give you a special ability, and you are essentially getting all these bookshelf cards, and you have to put them in alphabetical order. And you have to put in alphabetical order, but you're also trying to diversify your book collection and sometimes try to get more of this kind of book and less of this kind of book depending on the game. And it's a worker placement game. There's all these different locations like the bookseller or the book guy over here. And you're going to these different places that all these locations do different things to get these different books, to put them in order. And it's just really way thinkier than you think it's going to be. It's actually a pretty tough game in terms of like, there's so much going on in terms of like things that you have to pay attention to make your library as efficient and as good as humanly possible to win the game. Is really hard. I love it a lot. It's beautiful. It's really climbing the ranks for me. It's also got a really good solo addition to it, and that's always a great thing. As I'm starting to enjoy solo games more and more and more now, this is one I'm actually starting to seek out a little bit solo, but it's really wonderful, beautiful, and a very interesting theme, and just thinky as all hell. And I really love it. Libris, mwah. Let's get it, girl. Next one is our Pirates. I don't know when Taco Pirate Day is, but I bet you it's not today. This is Libertalia. Libertalia is a pirate game, but it's essentially, I like to describe it as good citadels. Citadels is a game that's okay. I'm not a huge fan of it, but this, I think, takes Citadels to the next level. It's a simultaneous selection game with different roles. You are given a certain amount of roles for your pirate ship. Everyone has the exact same, I think, 30 or 31 different roles that all act differently. And everyone has the same ones, or the same starting ones. And you're playing the different roles. The roles play out in different orders depending on their ranking on the pirate ship. And you're collecting booty and collecting treasure and all this kind of stuff. And you're doing all these different things. But everyone starts out with the exact same cards. But throughout the game, your cards start to diversify. Other people will start having different cards than you have because you've used cards that they didn't use. So they still have those cards that you don't have anymore. And you kind of have to get in the minds of your opponents. It's a really great game. It scales pretty darn well. It pays 2 to 6. I would say 3, 4, 5. With 2, it's a little too easy to predict what your opponent's going to do, in my opinion, which you could possibly get around. And with 6, it's a little too chaotic. There's not really a good way to predict what other people are going to do. In this kind of game, you need to predict what other roles people are going to play. And this one with 6, it's a little too much. It's just too chaotic. It's just, there's so many things going on. It's a little too much. But at 3, 4, and 5, it's outstanding. I really love Libertalia. It fills that niche for me of that simultaneous role selection kind of game. Really great. Really wonderful. Love Libertalia. Oh gosh. I love you. And I want to play it more often. Again, it's a little bit higher player count, so we're not going to play it nearly as often as we want to. But Libertalia, for that kind of game, this is your go-to. Really beautiful production. Beautiful art, too. Really love Libertalia. Get it, play it, love it. All right, last but not least, this is kind of a short show because we only got 4 games on this one. This right here, I'll tell you right now, this is a Shelf of Shamer. This is a Shelf of Shamer. We have played this game. It's not the Shrink. We have played it. We've played this game a few times. We've had it for a long time. When I first got into board gaming, one of my first things I did is I went to Board Game Geek once I discovered what it was. And I went to the top 10 games, looked at the 1 through however many there are ranking. And I was like, oh, I should get the top 10 games on BGG because those are the best board games ever made. And now looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, those are subjective lists. Like, those aren't all my games. There's some games on the top 10 that I have no interest in ever playing. And this was one of the ones that was in the top 10 when I first started looking at Board Game Geek. And don't get me wrong, I really like this game. But Eclipse is kind of a big 4X space game. We do not have too much interest in these kinds of games. I have no problem with them. I like them when I do play them, but they're definitely a sporadic, occasional thing. And again, this is kind of a game, you can play it 2 players, but you want at least 3 or 4, at least. I think you can play up to 6. I think that would be probably too much. But you want a little bit higher player count, and again, it's usually me and Mike, we don't get to play these kinds of games. But it's a 4X game, not as nearly as big as like TI3 or TI4 or anything like that. It's much shorter than that, but it's hexagonal space things. There's planets on them, and you're trying to go get resources from that planet. It's got an interesting technology tree where you're getting new technology to make your ships bigger, badder, or you can not make your ships bigger and badder and do other stuff instead. There's a lot of different paths that you can take in this game, and I do like that about it. One thing I heard an argument for this as a 2-player game is you really get to choose the kind of game you want to do. If you really want a really aggressive, in-your-face fighting game, you can do that. It's you and another player, and you're just fighting it out. But if you want to just have like a resource management, trying to get the best kind of engine going kind of thing, and just try to outplay each other, you can also do that. So it's not horrible at 2 players. Just personally, I want a game like this to have a little bit more. I do believe they're coming out with a new version of this game. I don't think I'll get it because, again, we've played this one a couple times and that's it. And it's probably been, honestly, you see the dust on it, it's probably been a few years. At least 1 year. I know that since we've played it. I really want to try it. Again, I really want to play it. I just don't know when it's going to happen. So this is one of the boxes on my Shelf of Shame. I really want to try it. I love the look of it. I love the idea. I love 4X games in theory. I just don't really ever get the chance to play them, and this is one of those. And so unfortunately this guy right here is sad because he's on my Shelf of Shame. But I do like Eclipse, and I wish I could play it more. It would be kind of my go-to 4X game because the big ones I just don't have much interest in. But this one, this size, I can get behind if I had the player counts for them. And our player counts are starting to go up because we have game groups and stuff. So maybe I can start getting this table That'd be cool. And I am curious of what the new version is going to look like. You know, maybe I'll look into it because I do like the game. I do like the idea. And I mostly like this guy. This guy right here. This kind of cool turtle looking dude. Pretty cool. So that is Eclipse. And that is the end of this shelf. That was a pretty short what's on this shelf, for us at least. That was on this shelf right here. Great games, all of them. Love them to death. Tweet me a picture of your shelf, one of your shelves specifically. And tell me about the games that you love. Until next time, until the next shelf, my name has been Nick Murphy. I'm one half of the Brothers Murph, and we will see you later. Whoa!
Be honest. Do you think you're quick enough and possess the dexterity to snatch a bird out of the air mid-flight? These are the things I wonder about. While you're thinking about that, check out Restoration Games. They sponsor us, and we have information for where to find them and their great games in the description below. That's probably quick enough. Click over here, by the way.